Well, a pedestrian bridge collapses in Detroit, Michigan, killing one driver. It could have been a whole lot worse. This despite Detroit allotting $1.1 billion to infrastructure. That would be 44% of that city's budget. So is this indicative of a larger nationwide problem with our infrastructure? Joining us now is the former advisor to the city of Detroit, Mark Aesch. Mark, thanks a lot for coming on this morning. I was a history major, so
good morning, Tucker.
I remember 6 years ago when President Obama said one of his chief goals as president was to improve this country's infrastructure. It sounds like he didn't achieve it.
You know, it's really frightening that it was actually just a year before that the I35 bridge in Minneapolis collapsed. That bridge sat for 17 years on the nation's list of bridges that are structurally deficient. And if you look at it today, Tucker, we have 600,000 bridges in this country. 10% still are considered to be structurally deficient.
So it sounds like in cities across the country, certainly in Detroit, all the money went to paying for full health and dental for former employees unto the generations instead of into infrastructure that the rest of us use every day.
It is just remarkable. We somehow have got billions of dollars to be able to spend for future generations to look after so-called green energy to take care of our globe. How about if we actually made it safe on Monday for people to be able to drive across our bridges and get to work?
So how unsafe is it?
Well, as I said, if you look across the country, more than 10% of our bridges are rated to be structurally deficient. If you look at Pennsylvania, it's 23%. If you look at Rhode Island, it's 22%. And we just have a very September 12th mindset when it comes to maintaining our infrastructure. Elected officials are very happy to stand on the banks of a river and give a news conference when there's still rubble in the river. What we need to do is get ahead of this and make sure that we put our dollars towards things that are actually important. Rather than 50 U.S. senators worrying about what the name of a football team in Washington is,
right.
Let's make sure we make it safe for people to get to work.
Well, yeah, what's the point of having a government? I mean, government exists to keep the roads open and the Visigoths from invading. I mean, that has been the rule since governments evolved millennia ago. If you can't do that, then, what is the point?
It is absolutely the foundational responsibility of government to make sure that people and commerce, right? I mean, so we can have an economy that grows and is safe. And when you've got 10%, we have 600,000 bridges, when 10% are ruled to be structurally deficient, it's really just a ticking time bomb when you look at what happened in Minnesota. And with 200 million Americans crossing bridges every single day, it's a scary situation, particularly when we've got elected officials putting It's not about spending more money, Tucker. It's about spending money on the right priorities. Getting people to work safe is the right priority.
Exactly. Right. Take some of that give condoms to my fourth grader budget and move it over to fixing the bridges. Finally, how can I find out, or any of our viewers find out, which bridges are unsafe?
There is a list. If you actually go, there's a group which is the American Engineers Society. You can look at that. Be happy to put a link up on the Fox and Friends website so people can go there and you can actually see the list of bridges and the percentage in your state that are deemed to be structurally deficient.
It's just so weird because everybody supports infrastructure spending. It keeps jobs in the United States. All of us benefit from it. It's amazing that politicians don't make that a priority every year.
And I think the key in this conversation, Tucker, is at least I and I think most Americans are not calling for more spending overall.
Right, no, totally.
It's let's spend money on the right things, and clearly getting people to work safe has got to be the right things. If we can find billions of dollars for so-called green energy, let's take care of today rather than worrying about 50 years from now.
I agree completely. Thanks a million, Mark. That was super interesting. I appreciate it.
Great to see you, Tucker.
Thanks. Coming up, millionaires get together to put